everyone. My name is Monet Etheredge, and I'm the interviewer for our Career Talks program. Today, I will be interviewing Miss Nicole Swineheart. Welcome, Nicole, and thank you for agreeing to do this interview with me today.
Thank you. I appreciate the offer.
Okay, so let's jump into it. The first question I want to ask you is, what is a brief description of your profession?
Okay. I'm a veterinarian, but I'm specifically an equine veterinarian. So all I work on are horses or donkeys and mules. So I'm specifically an equine ambulatory veterinarian. So I travel from farm to farm. We don't really have a clinic. We just have an office. So that's pretty much my job description.
Wow. Okay. Now, I have a lot of questions about that, but I'll get into it. Okay. So could you get into your education and training for me?
Yeah. So most people, as you guys know, if you're in high school, I think some people have an idea that they like animals and they've had a positive experience. So they think about going to vet school. So usually you go through a 4-year high school program, you apply to a college, and then you don't even have to focus as a pre-vet. We have prerequisites for application to vet school. You can, as long as you get your prerequisites done, you don't even have to have a college degree to apply to vet school. There are some kids that will complete college in 3 years with the prerequisites but never have a degree. They go on to vet school, which is another 4 years. And then you graduate with a DVM, so a doctor of veterinary medicine. And then you can go on and practice veterinary medicine if you pass your national board exam. Then some people specialize even further and do a year after their veterinary degree, which is called an internship. And then you can go on and do a residency program, which is more specialized, which is a 3-year program. And that can be in radiology, ophthalmology, surgery, and, internal medicine. So what I ended up doing is I did a 4-year degree, and I was actually a chemistry major. And then I went on to Ohio State Vet School. And I was really interested in going into exotics. Like I wanted to work for a zoo or do wildlife management. But when I went to school, I decided to do equine because I've always loved horses. I've had horses since I was 8. And so I continued on and then graduated and did a year internship in Virginia. And I wanted to do surgery, and I applied for a residency. And the way the residency programs work, it's similar to like medical school. You would make an application to multiple schools in the country, and then they do a match. So if you match a number with the university matches you, then that's where you go. So you're obligated to go. And the year that I applied for surgery residencies, there were only 16 positions in the country open that year.
So where did you go to school again? I'm sorry.
I went to the Ohio State University of Veterinary Medicine, so in Columbus, Ohio. And I did my undergraduate at Miami University of Ohio. I'm from Cincinnati. So I ended up moving here from Virginia. I was in Virginia for a year and then moved here.
Did you attend 2 colleges?
I guess my undergraduate was at Miami. So that was my 4-year undergraduate, which I was actually a chemistry major.
Exactly.
That university did not have a pre-vet program. So I took some of the pre-med classes. And then, but it's interesting because we had a girl in my freshman year of vet school that was fashion design was her major. But she ended up she went to do veterinary medicine. And so she got her degree in fashion design, but then took all the prerequisites that she would need. And most of them, it's like science, like organic chemistry, physics, calculus, chemistry. And then some schools require nutrition, an animal nutrition class. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy. Most schools, you can get done what you need to get done in a 4-year college.
Wow. How long did it take you to complete your training and education?
So I did 4 years in college, then 4 years in vet school, and then a year internship. So that was 9 years in addition to high school. So 4 years of high school too. I think the biggest thing with veterinary school right now is just getting in. I mean, the reason it's harder to get into the medical school is because there are fewer schools and there's a lot more applicants. And so it's pretty competitive. It's like 90% women at this point. There's very few men. And I think the reason that is because it's a lower salary. And they just make less money. So, and I think women are more compassionate, I think empathetic. And I think they're more drawn to that than to human medicine. But it also is why I think our salaries stay lower, is because we're women.
Yeah,
that's
a very interesting point too.
Yeah. So something to think about.
What were the courses that you took in high school that would help a student interested in your profession?
In high school, I think chemistry is probably a big thing, and I love chemistry. And then biology. I don't know about physics. That didn't really help me much. Math. Do what? Physics. Yeah, my associate just walked in. We said physics was horrible, but probably like biology, chemistry, math. I really wish that they would teach in vet school, and I really think they should teach this in some high schools they probably do now, is some type of business class or economics, because when you come out, you're like, I want to be a veterinarian, and that's all I want to do is I want to work on horses or animals or dogs or whatever, but they don't teach you how to run a business. And there is a huge business side to it. You have to be a business person to be successful in anything you do. So I really wish that in college I'd really taken some business classes, because I really didn't. I think client communication. I did some public speaking courses. I think that's beneficial. Just, getting along with people and being able to talk to people is important as well in this job.
So it's mainly about being personable and being able to.
Yeah. And I think trying to just be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and be able to help them make the decision that they need to make. I think any job that requires a lot of empathy and compassion, you get burnout. And it's just because I feel that a lot of times it's a thankless job. I think some owners don't recognize how much we put into every case and every animal, and that we're not in it just to make money. I mean, it's a job like anything, and we need to make money. But at the same time, I think a lot of us take our work home with us after 5 o'clock. It's not a job that you clock out and then you go home and you forget about. It's a job that you go home and you think, what did I do wrong? Or what else can I do? Or why isn't this getting better? You're always trying to learn. I think that's the hardest job. Any job that you're having to take care of someone and that emotions are involved, it can be stressful. So, and I think what I tell a lot of people that are interested in going to veterinary medicine, whether it's small animal or large animal, it's really a lifestyle and it's a profession. It's not a job. If you're looking for a job, this is not the job for you. It is all engaging, and it's stressful, and it can be stressful on your family. And that's where I think the burnout comes. But I think that the people that are drawn to this type of profession, that's kind of who they are. I mean, they're an empathetic, they're compassionate people, and they're very emotional, and I think they're more likely to burn out. And actually our profession is one of the highest suicide rates in almost all professions, behind police officers too. And it's the same thing. It's compassion overload.
Oh my.
Yeah. So another thing to think about. I mean, like I said, I love the job. There's nothing else I would rather do. But it's not the job for everybody.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And I feel like I could compare your profession to something of teaching, because teachers they don't get the recognition they deserve.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they do the same thing. They go home every day and they probably think about, what could I have done better for this kid, or how can I help this child learn? And it's the same thing for us. I mean, and the problem with us a lot of times is, you might be able to help an animal, but the owners may not have the finances to do what need to be done. And so you have to make a decision for what's best for the animal and what's best for the human. And it's not always the best decision. It's a hard place to be.
Definitely. Could you provide a brief description of what a typical day is like for you?
Well, it varies every day. I tell my dad that I am a glorified truck driver, because that's about what I do. I drive a truck all day long. So, it varies. I mean, we schedule our own appointments all day. So let's say I got to the office this morning at 8. I had to stock my truck. I had to go to a farm, which is about 60 miles away. I worked on like 20 horses. So we vaccinated. We did blood draws. I did some lameness, did some ultrasounding. Then got in the car, drove to another call, did some ultrasounding on that one. Went to another call that had an acute lameness. So you just never know. We schedule appointments and we have to deal with whatever emergencies that might come into the practice. So our call range is probably 60 to 70 miles. So on average, we do probably 150 to 250 miles a day. So I do about 55,000 miles a year driving. Yeah, you just don't know. I mean, like my associate was on a couple weekends ago, and she ran all weekend. I mean, you leave the house at, sometimes 6 in the morning, you may not get home till 9 or 10 at night. It's all day, every day. And you just don't know. You just got to sleep when you can sleep and eat when you can eat.
So you guys are basically like doctors. You're on call basically all the time.
Yeah. I mean, we are doctors. So
what are your hours of work? I may have asked that already.
Yeah, I mean, it varies. I think that on average, I'll probably leave my house around 7:30, and then sometimes I get home around 6:37. I think it depends on the season. Like when the days are shorter, when it gets darker earlier, I get home probably earlier. But when it stays light until 8 in the summertime, I work later. So on average, we probably do an average 9, 10, 11 hours a day. So yeah, they're all different, but we all pretty much start the same and end the same.
What precautions are you taking with COVID?
I'll have to be honest. I'm not taking them any. So we're outside all the time. So if there's certain farms that I go to that have a lot of like a high turnover of kids, or it's an enclosed barn that we're required to wear masks. So I do wear a mask. Or if a client is concerned, I will wear a mask. My daughter had come back positive, so I was waiting on my testing for those, so I wore a mask or double masked as well. And I wash my hands constantly all the time anyways with this job. They're always dirty. So
well, clearly you're taking good precautions by what
I mean, we're always asking people, and I always let people decide because what I believe is not what everyone else believes. So if people want me to wear a mask, I'm going to wear a mask. And it's, now it's, I think because it's been around for a year, people are feeling a little bit more comfortable, but we we do all our work outside. We're never really inside. So, but if people are uncomfortable, I'm willing to do whatever people want to do.
Is that why you feel the need to take less precautions, because you're mainly outside in open space and you're not close to humans per se, but animals instead?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, we're probably not exposed as much as most people because it is an open air environment.
Exactly.
And most people aren't really that close to us. The closest they would be is if they were restraining a horse that was being difficult, then they might be within 3 feet of me. But for the most part, I can do most stuff on my own. Just put the horse, tie it somewhere, and do what I need to do. Or I'm working on the back end and they're in the front end,
And the added benefit is when you're outside, the oxygen is constantly filtrating and changing. So it's like...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, and I do, there are only certain situations I've talked to my associates about there. When you're working with horses, they can be pretty unpredictable. And we've all noted that when we're wearing a mask, I'm trying to think, our reflexes and our visual on the side is not as good. So if I'm working on a difficult horse and the mask actually really impedes my reflexes. So I will take it off on certain occasions if I feel that I'm not feeling great. Like it really affects my vision and my comfort. I don't know what it is, but my associates have agreed with me on that too.
Yeah, I agree with you on that too.
Yeah.
They're distracting, they're uncomfortable, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, and then I know.
And then when you're trying to convey emotion or you're trying to, speak to someone, they barely know what you're talking about because
it is. It's hard to understand when you're talking with a mask. Yeah, sometimes so. But for me, I can just step back and we can discuss it.
Exactly. What obstacles do you face in your work?
In my work, obstacles. Oh my gosh, there's just not enough time in the day to get done what I have to get done. That is the biggest obstacle is time, I'd say. But other than that, I've got no other obstacles unless my car breaks down, and then I've got a big obstacle.
Yeah, that's scary. Okay, so what about the animals? Do they ever cause any, problems with you? Have you ever gotten kicked or physically harmed by the animals before?
Yeah, I mean, they tell you in vet school that when you're working with horses, it's not if you're going to get hurt, it's when. Oh. So yeah, we all get hurt. Yeah, it's been. I'm trying to think if I've had. I mean, we probably get kicked. I mean, I probably see at least on a monthly basis.
Okay, so my next question: what is the salary potential for someone in your career?
So there's a big salary difference between equine and small animal. So I'm trying to think. Let me ask Kim. She's just getting ready to graduate. What is, if they say what the starting salary is for you guys for equine versus small animal?
Equine is around 65 after a 1-year internship. Small animals anywhere from 80 to 100.
I'm in the wrong field. Okay, so she said she's just getting ready to graduate in a few weeks from vet school. So she told me that right now they're saying equine coming with a year internship out of school is 65.
Okay.
And then small animal is anywhere from like 80 to 100. It's a big discrepancy.
God.
So the big thing with equine is that they say eventually after the first 5 years, the equine, we will grow significantly. You know, I'd say that equine probably maxes out between 100 and 130.
Whoa.
Small animal probably similarly, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably similarly. A lot of the practices now are going, your salary is going on a commission basis. So you usually start out as a salary, and then sometimes you'll be salary plus commission. And then some they get out and then you're commission only. So it's based on your production. And then some practices are different. Some practices will say, okay, it's based on your professional fees, not what medications you dispense, or it's a different percentage. So, but equine, I think after 5 years will catch up to small animal. You'll grow pretty quickly. And sometimes depending on what you go into, you know, if you have a very, like you have a very wealthy area, like vets down in Wellington, Florida, that are working on these really nice show, like $1 million race or show horses, they're expensive. I mean, they're bringing in some bucks. They might be bringing in 60 to 70,000, like grossing 60 to $70,000 of production a month. So almost one person bringing in almost, you know, $1 million a year. That's on production. That's what they're grossing for the practice. And then if you're making 25% of that, you can make 250 to 300. But that's the clientele. It really depends on your location, your clientele. So there's some variation. So when I started, so this gives you an idea. So when I started, when I graduated in '98, I did a year internship. My salary was $18,500. I was like poverty, like in Virginia. Then when I qualified for food stamps, that was really bad. And then in my first year here in this practice, I made $36,000. That's what I made 20 years ago.
So that was a significant improvement.
It's significant. It has, so in 20 years, the salary's doubled. But also the cost of living has doubled. I mean, my vehicle, I bought a Tahoe 20 years ago. It was $32,000. Now it's $60,000. You know, it's crazy, the cost of vehicles. I mean, with our practice, we have to buy our own trucks and we have to buy our own whatever we put on it. Like I have a vet box. So the trucks now are running, you know, $55,000. You put 100,000 miles on in 2 years, you're getting a new truck like every 3 years. That's a lot of money to be dropping on a truck.
And then on top of that, I was going to ask you, but I didn't know when. I was like, what about the gas prices? Because you said you guys cover a lot of mileage. So
yeah, we do. So we get for our job, we get a gas reimbursement. It's decided by the IRS. I think it's like 56 cents a mile right now. So I keep track of all my miles. So on average, I probably make $1,500 to $2,000 a month in gas. So that's supposed to cover your car payment, your gas, which is about $650 to $700 a month is what I spend in gas. And then also the wear and tear in your vehicle. Yeah, I get my oil changed every month. So that runs about $60. I get new tires every 2 years. That's like $1,000, you know, so it adds up. And then you have your insurance, your car insurance too. And then it's your personal vehicle. So I'm stuck with a truck as a personal vehicle, which is okay. But, you know, it's not the best.
That's a lot. That is a lot. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it does add up. Yeah.
What are the possibilities to own business in this profession?
I think ownership is big. I mean, it's like anything. It's any business. You can open up a business anywhere. It doesn't require anything. You just require a license, a building. And in our practice, you don't even need a building. You could work out of your truck, you know, or out of your house. So there are a lot of people that open up and do it on their own. The problem with that for me is that is emergency call. You know, if you're working all day, every day, and then you're having to be on call all night, every night, your burnout's going to happen. Right now, what we're seeing a lot of in small animal and equine is a lot of these practices are selling out to corporations. And our practice actually just sold out to a corporation in December. So it's nice in a way for people, especially like our practice owner is older. He just turned 70. And so he was trying to find a way out. And I think for me and some of my associates, I didn't really want to be an owner. I really like being an associate and not having to deal with practice management and making every day-to-day decision on hiring and firing and what to buy and how much to buy. I just like being a veterinarian. So,
Yeah.
But practice owners definitely have they can make more money. You can make a lot more money being a practice owner than you can be an associate. So it just depends on what your goals are, you know.
Who supported you and helped you get to where you are now?
My dad. My dad's is a doctor, and actually he was an Ohio State graduate. And then my dad's dad was a dentist who was an Ohio State graduate. So I was a third generation Ohio State professional school. But my dad's always been very supportive of. He's always told me that no one can take your education away from you. So if you know, you can always go further with education. So that's what I've done. Now, granted, I have to say I don't always think that's true because my husband is a plumber. And he does not have a college degree, and he does just fine. So, yeah. So college isn't for everybody.
Yes.
And I tell my daughter that. I said, you know, the key to happiness is finding something that you can do and wake up every day that you like doing. And it makes life worth living, and it's not a chore. And I think this has always been my calling, but I don't think it's a calling for everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. And some people are, I know from experience being a high schooler, I want to go to college, but some of my friends are afraid that they will end up unsuccessful if they don't go to college, but their parents want them.
It's hard, you know, and it's hard for me because I don't know if my daughter's going to go to college. She's very artistic, and she might go into something more of a trade than college. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. I just want her to find something that she's happy doing, that she can actually, you know, provide for herself. I don't want to have to provide for her. But I think people go to college. Like I was a chemistry major. I don't do chemistry at all. I mean, I love chemistry, but that was never going to be what I was going to do. I was just good at it.
Right.
So I think a lot of kids that go to college, it's a waste sometimes. I think it's nice to kind of know what you're interested in so you can focus on that. I think there's a lot of stuff that kids are forced to learn. They don't need to know. I mean, I was never really good at English and writing. So, I mean, I don't know why I need to know some of that stuff that I was taught, like about poetry. You know, I don't know. I mean, I guess because my daughter's in high school now, from school and everything. I just feel that some of the schools really need to focus on what every child's good at, because that's what they're going to go into and that's where they're going to be successful. I don't think every kid fits into that cookie cutter, you know, you got to know all your history, all your science, all your English, all your math. And I think it's the same way with college. I think you're forced to take some of these classes that didn't do anything for me. I didn't learn anything from it. I just stressed about it and tried to get an A to help my GPA. That was it.
Yeah, that sounds like me. Okay.
Yeah. So.
And I hope most of the time that people do not end up trying to fit themselves into a box to abide by their parents, you know, telling them, hey, you need to go to college. You need to have a career that will, you know, provide for you the most and stuff.
Yeah.
I think
it's true. I think there's so many people. I mean, we see it all the time in professional schools. You know, when I was in school, you either were a doctor or a lawyer. You know, that's what you did. But now there's just so many different careers that you can go into.
Exactly.
That you can do through a trade school or even through like a 2-year college. And right now, education is so expensive. I just feel like it's such a waste of money sometimes. I hate to say that, but you can be successful in so many things that doesn't require a 4-year college degree.
Exactly.
Mine did, but, you know, not even really. I mean, I have several friends that graduated. They never really graduated with a degree from college. They got everything done in 3 years and went on to vet school, and they have a DVM, but they don't have a college degree.
Exactly. Successful.
Exactly. They're successful and they're happy and they do what they want to do.
Exactly. What is the thing you love most about your job and why?
I think the biggest thing for me is just being outside and just meeting people and working on horses. I mean, horses have always been my love and my passion. So that's what I'm happy doing. I mean, even I hate to say it, even if I didn't do equine medicine or if it was a veterinarian, I would still do something with horses. That would still be what I did.
What do you think what type of breed, like, have you seen from a horse that's rare and eccentric? The most previous horse.
That was my favorite thing that I've worked on so far are the Budweiser Clydesdales. So I've got to work on a couple of those. The big Clydesdales.
Could you describe
They're
it?
huge. They're so big. You don't realize how big they are. But it's just cool because they're kind of celebrity, So for me, I've had to go. They sometimes lay over in Florence, so I've gotten called over there to do some work on them. And the people are really nice, and the horses are really nice. So that was really cool for me. So we've had some really nice thoroughbred race horses. We had one that came in that was a yearling that was insured for $11 million. We got to work on her. So sometimes it's best not to know what they're worth when you're working on them.
Why is that?
Because you get a little bit worried. We carry a lot of liability insurance, but $11 million is about our cap. So if something goes wrong, you don't want to get sued. That's for sure.
You don't want to get
sued. Yes, yeah.
What mistakes have you made that proved to be a barrier to getting where you are now, and how did you overcome them?
What mistakes have I made? Well, what I tell everybody is you're going to make mistakes. I tell this to my daughter all the time. A mistake is not a failure, ever. A mistake is always an opportunity to learn. So there are some things that I've done, and it could be like a misdiagnosis or I missed something on a physical exam or on an x-ray, but I'm not going to miss it again. So it's like anything, you just have to be able to recognize you're only human. And if you feel like you're having problems, to always reach out to someone that you can trust that can help you. So have a mentor. I think that's really important. And I think the biggest thing is people recognize that you're only human for the most part. And if you're having a problem, to let them know and not to kind of get your way through it. So I think people appreciate honesty and they appreciate hard work. And I think that's true for any field that you go into.
Exactly.
So I think that's the biggest thing I've learned.
Definitely necessary.
Yes.
What advice would you give to a student who is interested in working in your career to help them avoid making those mistakes?
I think the biggest thing for anyone interested in going into my career or any career is to spend a lot of time with someone that's been doing it for a long time. Because everyone thinks, veterinary medicine, and I love dogs and cats, but there's a lot to it besides dogs and cats or horses. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing, is spending time with someone that can offer the good and the bad and the ugly, because everyone has that. And I know with vet school right now, to even apply, you have to have a minimum of so many hours with a licensed veterinarian in small animal, food animal, equine, exotic, to even apply to vet school. So they're really trying to weed out the people that, because I've had people come in and they go, oh, I want to be a vet. And then they pass out at the sight of blood. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think you're going to be a vet. I don't know. So I've had several people come in and they're like all excited, and then they do something and they're like, oh God, I can't do that. So I think that's the biggest thing, is spending a lot of time with someone that can offer that insight.
Yeah. I also do think, however, some people may show signs of, fear or, like not being able to handle all of that, that blood, the difficulties, all of that stuff. But I do feel like some people are able to overcome those parts.
Yeah. I mean, they've never been exposed to it. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just knowing what you might encounter,
Exactly. I wanted to know, because you were mentioning it a lot, and I didn't really know what you were talking about, honestly.
Okay.
But what exactly is equine?
So equine is horses. So it's horses or donkeys or mules.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we don't do, there are some people that do mixed animal. So mixed animal would be horses, cows, sheep, goats, pigs, maybe chickens, but we just do horses or donkeys and mules. That's all we do.